there's rarely a show that goes by where someone is not zoomed into the event, whether it's an individual speaker or panels. So it's the operating position now set for the Zoom rooms as big as any other normal opposition used to be.
Hey everyone, Chris here from AV Magazine, and welcome to another AV Lockdown podcast where we talk to AV industry professionals. Today, gives me great pleasure to welcome Brian Nash. He's the Director of AV Services at the International Convention and Exhibition Centre, ICCS. There we go.
That's the one. Good morning, Chris.
Yes, good morning to you, Brian. So it's been many, many months since the COVID crisis hit. And I guess your reflections on what's happened to the convention centre and the business as a whole has changed up and down in this way and that way throughout those months. But like, where are we at now? What's going on at the convention centre?
I guess the important thing to start with, Chris, is that we never actually closed our doors. A number of venues around the country did so. We actually never closed down because we set up the two broadcast studios in March this year. So that kept us going through the first 6 months until sort of hybrid started to appear. So, yeah, we never actually closed our doors, and we did keep operating, admittedly on a very, very small scale.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank goodness we are now starting to see people coming back into the venue. Hybrid, is definitely the thing at the moment, and will continue to be so for a very long time. So we're just happy that we're seeing people coming in. 2 or 3 events now have people in the venue, and the rest are still remain virtual.
So a while back, I did this cool story with regarding Salesforce's international get together and how they rescued an event at ICCS. Did that provide any kind of help as far as the playbook goes for the year, or any reflections on that?
Look, not necessarily, because we actually had very little to do with it. They brought everything out with them. I'm not sure what support they had locally. I'm sure they had some, but the majority of it actually came, I believe, out from the States. So that was we suddenly realised that this is the future. So, but it was on such a large scale. We started on very small studios, just looking after the clients and our stakeholders' needs, and it grew from there. So, Salesforce, in retrospect, we should have been all over it and see exactly what they were doing and getting up to, because we kind of invented it as we went along.
I guess it just demonstrated what's possible, wasn't it? It's like,
that's right. It was a big success and certainly set the benchmark. There's no question about that.
So, hybrid is the buzzword. What does it mean exactly?
People in the venue is what that gets us excited. We've been walking around this very large building with not many people in it, and it's a very strange feeling. So we're excited to have people back into our venue. And the exciting news, just a few days ago, the government's given us the okay to do exhibitions. So we're starting to work on that now, which is very exciting. We're able to hold public exhibitions again, and they'll be starting in February next year.
So I guess with hybrid, you've obviously got the combination, like we've always had the combination of the real and the virtual, at least for a while now, but it feels like now we meet it. It's not just like this bolt-on. It's an integral part of the offering. Describe to me what level of AV you need to provide for it to be a world-class hybrid meeting.
Yeah, well, back in June of this year, we first moved from the smaller studios and created the large spaces, our 2 ballrooms, anticipating people coming back on board. So we had all our eggs in that basket that it would be over soon. We were about to go to 2 square metres, but that didn't eventuate with Victoria and the border closures. So we didn't seriously look at that hybrid platform scenarios at that point in time, and they were just starting to emerge. And we thought, no, we'll stick with our venue-based. And then it became clear with the border closures and whatnot that people would not be meeting face-to-face for a very, very long time. So we thought, well, what do we do? Do we just continue with our studios, or do we get involved in the platform side? So we spoke to a number of people, and we ended up collaborating with a third party, and we came up with an ICC Connect platform. And that means not just a platform, it means end-to-end. So the studios now in the ballroom are completely set up, LED screens, studio lighting, everything that's there, and a platform. So any client who wishes to come into ICC Sydney and just deal with one direct person as opposed to a number of different stakeholders, we're able to offer that. If they want to come in, of course, with another platform, that's fine as well. We're not pushing that, so there's no issue there. Our setup is completely agnostic, and it can, anything can plug into it, and away we go. But yeah, we made the decision to not shut up shop and to actually get involved and be part of the solution.
It was described to me once that you're talking about a platform, and I'll ask you more about what that is precisely in a second, but that although there are obviously streaming solutions out there, and there are kind of ticketing and I guess there's obviously then the Zooms and the Teams of the world, that there wasn't necessarily, when COVID hit, the perfect hybrid or virtual meeting conference platform for your business, really. Is that what you learned, that you had to kind of roll your own?
Well, we didn't have the expertise to create our own platform. We were realistic about that. So we went out to people who were emerging with them, and we spoke to a few of them. But you're right, most of the platforms have come out of registration companies or speakers preparation companies. They've sort of evolved into the new world, and then most of them have done a fantastic job in doing so. We didn't have that expertise. We decided we would partner with someone to get involved with that side of it.
Who'd you go with?
Joma Blue.
What is the platform? Yep, sorry, go ahead.
It's a company we've worked with before, and we know them quite well, and they're a good fit with us. So
and Australian.
And Australian, absolutely.
So what does the platform provide you? What are the kind of the key planks, the features?
Well, I guess it's very important the experience for the online viewer is as good as the experience for the person in the room, and that's what it's all about. So it's kind of replaced the app in a lot of respects. So you log on, you have a welcome page, you have your agenda, you have your speakers, you have sponsorship, which of course is very important, because people have always, how the hell do we still get value from our sponsors in this new world? So that's our major part of what they do as well. You can sponsor the whole platform or individual sessions, so it's a good tool for that. It's also interactive and easy to navigate around. You can contact each other, people. So there's lots of different, and there's new stuff coming on board all the time as well. So as people are realising what people like to see and want to see, and it's developing daily almost, it seems.
So what did you have, in what way did you have to tool up to be fully ready for the hybrid meeting challenge? Did you have most of the gear already, or did you kind of have to invest in new equipment?
We were very fortunate that we already had the gear here, and that was the catalyst to start off with. I'm not going to just put it into the storeroom and shut the door and wait till it's over. It's all sitting there. So all the hardware, and we had luckily received our LED walls about a month prior to it, because I'd hate to be trying to get the money to buy it now. And so those sorts of things have all helped. We've had to buy a lot of incremental small bits of hardware and software licenses here and there, but it's not much. We had the cameras the equipment, everything, and the expertise with the team. And I have to really pay so much credit to the team here as well. They've really embraced this whole scenario because it's not something that they normally do. You know, they're live event people, live production people, but they've learned whole new skills. I've got project managers, show calling, and floor managers now who are Zoom operators. And I'm actually about to create an entirely new department purely just to look after this going forward. So, the Zoom room, such an integral part, never existed to that extent 6 months ago, but now we just can't go forward without it.
So how does Zoom, what role does it play in your meetings, or I guess the packages that the clients are taking up?
There's really a show that goes by where someone is not zoomed into the event, whether it's an individual speaker or panels. So it's the operating position now set for the Zoom rooms as big as any other normal opposition used to be. I think we've got just under 50 laptops on the floor in the rooms at the moment, so we've just about exhausted our supply. And now we're stealing staff desktops and all sorts of things. It takes up a lot of those resources.
How do you guarantee as best you can, the quality of those remote participants? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, every large meeting we have a Zoom test a day or 2 days prior to it. So we try and get all of them in a couple of hours time lapse, and if not, we'll get the individuals later on. But we talk them through it. So we check they're centered, the lighting's good, their audio's good, and the nature of the setup is that they will be moved virtually from one room into another room. So we take them through that as well, so they experience it prior to the day, so there's no surprises, and they they're comfortable with it, because you need to make the presenters as comfortable with what's about to happen, and most of them are used to it now, so they're pretty good. But it's a process that we've ran face-to-face meetings with our speakers prep room, where we've carried it over into the virtual world. So we certainly talk to them through the whole process. On a very large event, they'll talk to at least 2 people, and they'll be handed through that process. So yeah, we take a lot of care to make sure that works properly. But at the end of the day, we rely on internet, and we still get the odd person who will Zoom in, connected to their phone, internet, or, there's still the odd one.
Yeah. And you must watch the news bulletins and everything else that it's on TV, and just kind of like, oh no, what are they doing?
Yeah. Well, you look at everything with a new eye now, that's for sure.
Like, what do you think about the quality of Apple's earbuds?
Apple's earbuds? I'm a Bose man myself, so I don't own any. I can't.
You see a lot of people chiming into news stories with with the Apple. I can't remember their brand, the model number, but the expensive Bluetooth earbuds they use, and I guess it's going to. I don't know. It's interesting to me is that you might spend tens of thousands of dollars on an event, and then your keynote speaker is carefully selected and at the other end of a line in another country, and it's all kind of being mediated through $200, $150 pair of little plastic earbuds.
No, 100% right, and we've brought people in from every part of the world at every time of the day as well. We've seen some very interesting setups and some very interesting things going on in the backgrounds as well. So it's been very entertaining in that respect. But you're right, some people go to great care, and some people are just quite happy with their visit home.
Yeah, I wonder how far we're off from like your department being able to have like a little sort of remote participant care package that gets air freighted to them, and they just pull it out. It's got a little PTZ camera or whatever with a lav plugged straight into it or whatever it is, and then all they need to do is follow it like 2 pages of an IKEA instruction, and you've got broadcast video and audio. Is that far off?
I wouldn't think so. And we send information out now without any hardware, and certainly information on the do's and don'ts of what you should do. It's important that people also, we try and connect to people important Zoom-ins at the same time as they'll be delivering, just to check their internet to make sure that on that day, if their children are on the Xbox or something's going on that could cause problems at the time, which surprisingly can happen. It worked in the morning, but at 7 o'clock at night when they're delivering it, the circumstances have changed. But no, we haven't done that, but I can certainly see value in it. But we send them information on what we get them to do on their setups.
So can you just describe to me the setup of one of your virtual or hybrid meetings in the ballroom? What does your team comprise? What does it look like to be able to, fulfill one of these events technically?
Sure. I mean, we used to do events in the theatre for 2,500 people, a simple event, if you like, with 3 people. An average small Zoom event now is at least 7 or 8 people. It is amazing. And look, completely undervalued as well. The price point that it is at the moment it's not a lot. What the setup is, the lighting and audio and show caller on one side of the ballroom. I'll talk about the main ballroom. We're using both our ballrooms. And the vision side is massive. And there's usually 1, 2, 3, at least 5 or 6 people sitting along there, between the streaming guy, the content guy, an E2 guy, a camera switch, and then the Zoom room can have up to 2 in it as well. Because we've had events that go, one event that starts with an AGM, goes to a CEO forum and finishes with an awards night. Now, with like half an hour between them. So, all of those once upon a time were a major event on their own, but they're all being put into one day. It's a big day. It's a long day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting times. Yeah, I guess the event that kind of figures most highly in all of our minds is Integrate, which they're planning to be, your venue next June, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting to imagine what that will be like. Clearly, it won't, be entirely in person, but there'll be more of a reliance on the virtual.
I'm not sure. It'll be interesting because, as I said, the exhibition side of it has now been given the opportunity to continue. There's a 4 square metre rule, so there will be caps on the number of people that go in there, and there'll be some control on number of people on stands and flows of people through that. But the exhibition itself will go ahead. Now, whether they're educational, we haven't actually started a conversation with them yet. It's not far away. What they do with the educational side, I would suggest, would certainly have an element of stream and in face-to-face people as well. That lends itself to that. That's probably a no-brainer. But everyone still wants to meet each other and say hi, and people we haven't seen for a long time, and actually touch the desk and touch the lights and everything else. So let's hope that that continues.
Yeah, and I guess sort of to wind up, what have we learnt about events that COVID has taught us? Like you touched on the fact that, person-to-person experiences have always been important, and people are willing to pay, I guess, a premium to ensure that. Then you've got like the Salesforce experience, which was hugely successful from a metrics point of view. Like I'd be interested to see, whether it was hugely successful from, like a participant or a show-going point of view, whether they've got as much out of it necessarily, even though, the metrics are amazing. Like, what do you think? What do we think we've learned?
Well, I mean, the analytics of the platforms is something that everyone wants. Everyone wants to know who attended what time, what was the drop-off of attendees. There's a lot more gamification started to be coming into the platforms now to try and get people involved. So the clicking around on the screen to have some sort of interactivity, searching for gifts here or there, just like they used to do on the floor. And every click on a platform can be, data, which is gold for everyone to understand what people are doing. So, that will continue to evolve. Someone said to me recently that the virtual world has the reach, and that's the big positive that comes from it. It doesn't have the depth. And the depth is that, I feel, is that meeting, face-to-face meeting, and that I think that's still what people crave and people still want to do, and long may that continue, because we need to keep our industry going. And I really think people, while we have to embrace the virtual world, I think most people will be happy to see it end to it. It won't end completely, but at least to some extent. It will be with us forever now.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Brian. Good to pick your brain and catch up and hear what's going on. Best of luck, and let's hope that we get to see each other at your place sooner rather than later. That'd be awesome.
I agree. Well, here, the doors are open. We'll be here to welcome you.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Chris.